Allah, Allah, Allah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back to L2N podcast. Today's episode is about the events and what's going on in Bangladesh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep everyone safe there as well. This is an exclusive report on 40 scholars, Bangladeshi scholars, and their concerns, and an open letter appeal to the members of the Alim Shura and the scholars of Bangladesh. After thorough investigation and research, they have come to the conclusion in this letter. The letter was written in Urdu and now is translated in English. It starts like this: a heartfelt appeal to the members of the Alim Shura and scholars of Bangladesh, ulama. The concern of 40 Bangladeshi scholars. Date 22nd of December 2024. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We hope this letter finds you in good health and engaged in great work of Iman. This letter has been written by around 40 scholars with heavy hearts. Our sole intention is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ensure that the work of da'wah continues in the manner that is most beloved to Him. When the ikhtilaf differences emerged within the work of da'wah and tabligh in 2015, we ulama were guided by certain members of the Alim Shura regarding how to carry forward the work of da'wah. Acting on their mashwara, we dedicate ourselves to the mission of da'wah, even in traveling abroad to guide the ummah. At that time, we were unaware of the true depth and nature of the ikhtilaf. However, when we later was invited to a gathering where senior scholars discussed the differences within the Tabligh Jamaat in the light of the historical disagreements among the Sahabas, they elaborated on the situation at Nizamuddin Markaz and the role of the Shura. We were shocked to learn that the true reality of the situation. The information shared about the Markaz Nizamuddin deeply concerned us, prompting us to delve deeper into understanding this matter. The purpose of this letter is neither to criticize nor support anyone, but ensure that the work of da'wah is directed on the straight path, Sirat al-Mustaqim. Our goal and aim is not to fuel differences, but to promote unity and muhabbat. We request you to reconsider these matters and strive for a positive solution for the welfare of the ummah. In our gatherings, diverse opinions were exchanged and strong differences emerged on certain topics. The session began under the leadership of Qari Zubair Saab. We noticed several new faces were present, playing a leading role in the discussions. Initially, we were only aware of Qari Zubair Saab's presence, but on that day, we saw other scholars participating as well. The primary focus of the gathering was to discuss Sheikh Saad and his position. Special attention was given for him not to be attending the Tonga Ijtima and strategies for addressing the issue. Unfortunately, it was alleged that Maulana Saad made inappropriate remarks about the Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum ajma'in and even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Na'udhu billah. These claims deeply angered and emotionally distressed us. Many ulama in the gathering stated that if Maulana Saad were to be present now, it would be challenging for him to defend himself. Subsequently, the question arose about the basis for any protests or fatwas against him. Qari Zubair pointed to a fatwa from Darul Ulum Deoband and asserted that protests should be granted in this fatwa. He believed that this would unite all the Deobandi scholars in Bangladesh. However, another scholar rejected this idea, arguing that Darul Deoband would not endorse such actions. A passionate speech was then delivered, emphasizing that it is imperative to protest against anyone who speaks against the Prophet ﷺ. Another alim mentioned that Maulana Saad Sahab had publicly retracted all of his statements and revised his stance. They asked how this should be addressed. One scholar proposed forming a team of scholars to review all of Maulana Saad's statements in all the bayans and present them to Darul Ulum Deoband for clarification. The gathering or the panel would then proceed based on their response. Ultimately, it was decided to establish a committee to analyze Maulana Saad's statements and bayanats and forward them to Darul Ulum Deoband for review. What happened in our group afterwards made a turning point. We were informed about another consultation mashwara taking place in Dhaka, and once again we attended. The same faces we had seen before were present, and the atmosphere remained uncharged with the same emotion and sentiments. The meeting began with a speech by a scholar who was openly critical of a particular individual. Other new scholars followed, intensifying their accusations against Nizamuddin Markaz and Maulana Saad. Suddenly, a scholar entered the room and announced with joy that a response from Darul Uloom Deoband had arrived, rejecting Maulana Saad's retraction. Upon hearing this, a wave of renewed enthusiasm swept through the room, and we all loudly chanted Allahu Akbar. I too was caught up in this fever, because we were still relying on hearsay and had not focused on uncovering the truth. Protest preparations began soon after. Plans were made regarding who would go to the airport and who would lead the group. I was asked to go to the airport, where we waited for Maulana Saad, intending to confront him. Despite our leader advising against such actions, the intensity of rhetoric had fueled our anger and emotions, making our minds boil with the belief that Maulana Saad was making unacceptable statements. However, when Maulana Saad arrived in Bangladesh, in Dhaka, he remained at the airport for several hours and did not come out. We waited, and eventually he was escorted to Markaz under strict security. There he gave a statement declaring that he had repented again and affirmed his adherence to Darul Uloom Deoband as his scholarly center. Hearing this statement felt like a divine guidance, and I was deeply moved by the sincerity of his retraction. Witnessing this act of humility brought a sense of peace to my heart, as it seemed that the entire conflict was nearing resolution. His acknowledgement of mistakes and efforts towards reconciliation filled me with hope that the work of da'wah and tabligh would resume with renewed vigor and unity and with wahdatul fikr. The question now was, what should our response be moving forward? Would we continue to make emotional decisions, or should we proceed in a fair and sincere manner aligned with reality? I realized that our greatest achievement at this moment was that we had managed to control our emotions and turn towards the truth, the haqq. Now it was essential for us to ensure that our a'mal, our actions, were in accordance with the reality and the principles of Islam. As soon as Sheikh Saad returned to India, a new hope arose within us that perhaps we could all unite and once again focus on the work of Tabligh. But that did not happen. Another mashwara was called in Dhaka. This time, I hoped the discussion would center on ways to spread the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wahdaniyat and the direction of the Jama'at. However, when we arrived, the situation turned out to be different. Once again, the focus and the topic was on Maulana Saad. It was claimed that he had wronged the elders and showed no respect for anyone. Hearing this, many of the scholars, ulamas present became agitated. I began to feel that something was amiss, and it was necessary to investigate this matter. We had to examine the situation in light of Shariah and seek the truth, the haqq, instead of relying solely on hearsay and waswasa. We decided to call a meeting of scholars of ulama to research this issue. Mufti Tayyib Sahib suggested that appointing a group of ulama scholars to listen to all of the Maulana Saad Sahib's statements and bayanats from the past 5 years and note any problematic points. Only then would we hold another consultation mashwara and consider even going to India. We acted on his plan, and when these scholars began to listen to Maulana Saad Sahib's speeches, it felt as if the fog clouding our vision was being lifted. In total, it took about 6 months to review Maulana Saad Sahib's speeches from the past 5 years. All these speeches bayanat were obtained from the Delhi Markaz YouTube channel and other sources. As we analysed these speeches, the bayanats, the truth began to emerge. We realized that we might have been pursuing under grave misunderstanding. This was a moment when we began to feel the weight of our actions and the need for self-reflection. Feeling the shame and tears of realization, the ulama, the scholars present in the meeting, began weeping bitterly, realizing the injustice we had done. What have we done? Why did we commit this injustice against Maulana Saad? They exclaimed. One Mufti stated, Maulana Saad's statements are entirely in line with the teachings of Maulana Ilyas Sahab rahmatullah alayhi, and he has always referenced these teachings. His grandfather Maulana Yusuf rahmatullah alayhi also conveyed the same message. Then a fear gripped us. If the truth about this matter reached the public, we could face severe backlash. We were trying to protect two significant institutions, Nizamuddin Markaz and Darul Uloom Deoband. protests against Maulana Saad Sahab in Bangladesh had been carried out under the banner of Darul Uloom Deoband, even though the institution was completely unaware that its name was being used and tarnished. In reality, Darul Uloom Deoband had already accepted Maulana Saad Sahab's clarification on the issues raised against him. Acknowledgement of mistakes. Once all these facts came to light, we realized that we had blindly followed others without proper investigation. It became evident that we needed to retract our actions and purify our niyat and intention to focus on the true purpose of da'wat, seeking Allah's pleasure and guiding humanity. The entire situation taught us that acting on emotion and hearsay without thorough investigation leads to nothing but regret. We needed to align our actions with Islamic principles and tread Allah's path sincerely. Further research and shocking discoveries. As we delved deeply into the matter, more startling revelations came to light. One major insight was that the root of the Tabligh conflict lay in issues related to Shura leadership. For instance, Hazrat Maulana Ibrahim Dawlah's letter clarified many things. Upon further research, we discovered that those supporting the Shura were not originally part of the Shura Council formed by the third Amir of Maulana Inamul Hasan Rahmatullah Alayhi. This realization hit us like a bolt of lightning, and we resolved to investigate the matter more seriously. It became clear how different countries were aligned with various centres. For example, England's United Kingdom Centre Dewsbury is under Nizamuddin Markaz. Malaysia's Markaz follows the Nizamuddin Markaz as well. Afghanistan Markaz is fully aligned with Nizamuddin. India is also under Nizamuddin Markaz. Seeking clarity from Darul Uloom Deoband. Determined to understand Darul Uloom Deoband's official stance, we travelled to Delhi to meet its scholars. The response we received was vastly different from our expectations. Darul Uloom Deoband clarified that the issue was an administrative matter relating to Tabligh and that the institution did not wish to interfere. When we cautiously asked whether Maulana Saad Sahab had deviated from the beliefs of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the response was a firm no. Additionally, we were warned against asking such questions. Realization and regret. Hearing this made us realize how excessively emotional our reactions had been. The ulama of Deoband advised us that both groups were on the right path, and we were free to join whichever group we felt aligned with, as long as we avoided conflict and disputes. This response deeply impacted us, making us reflect on how much time we had wasted engaging in unnecessary disputes with Maulana Saad Sahab's group and mistreating the Nizamuddin Markaz. As we left Darul Uloom Deoband, one of our companions was crying inconsolably, regretting our actions. Another companion resolved to fast as a form of repentance, tawbah, seeking Allah's forgiveness. We felt an intense realization that the path we had been following might not have been the correct path. A journey to Nizamuddin Markaz. We intended to go to Delhi, booking a hotel in Nizamuddin Markaz. Our sole purpose was to observe the practices, the a'mal at the Markaz, and meet Maulana Saad Sahab in person to judge his character and approach firsthand. When we arrived at Markaz Nizamuddin before Fajr prayer, we done wudu and sat before the prayer. All our group members sat in the front row. It was a pivotal moment in our lives, as we had come to the intention to seek forgiveness of Maulana Saad Sahab, even if it meant placing our turbans at his feet to acknowledge our mistakes. The first encounter of Maulana Saad Sahab. Suddenly, a door on the right opened and everyone stood up in respect, forming a path through which Sheikh Saad entered. It was the first time we saw him, and our gaze remained fixed on him. With great dignity, he walked in, and we couldn't help but keep looking at him. Then the call, the aqama was made, and Maulana Saad Sahab himself led the prayer. I should also mention that it was the blessed month of Ramadan, making the entire scene spiritually uplifting. After the salah, Maulana Saad Sahab returned to his room. We asked some people when will Sheikh Saad would give his bayan. Someone informed us it would happen shortly, so we waited. Maulana Saad Sahab soon arrived and began his bayan. It lasted about 2 hours, focusing on the importance of Iman. The words deeply resonated with us, as if we were hearing the essence of Tabligh and spirituality for the first time. In his address, he also emphasized the significance of seminaries, madrasas and scholars. The bayan was concluded. Maulana Saad Sahab returned to his quarters. We asked when he would speak next. Then someone informed us that he would provide some bayanats, muzakaras around afternoon. Determined to observe the entire day's a'mal, we stayed at the Markaz. Soon we saw a large crowd heading towards the room. Upon asking, we learned that a mashwara was taking place in the morning. Some of us joined the mashwara while others stayed behind. The mashwara and Maulana Saad's dedication. In this mashwara, all the members of the Nizamuddin Markaz Shura were present, including Maulana Saad. Observing this gathering made us realize that the work being done here was significant and purposeful, far removed from the allegations and misinformation we had encountered earlier. Maulana Saad's discourse during the meeting was entirely focused on the objectives of Tabligh and established as the Maktabs Islamic schools. He inquired about the progress of setting up Maktabs in Makatibs in various countries, emphasizing the importance of creating a sustainable educational system wherever Tabligh groups operate. His seriousness and concern reflected his deep commitment to this mission. Every word he spoke countered the false narratives we heard in Bangladesh. A profound regret filled my heart as I thought about how we had been misled into opposing him, even participating in the protest against him. The spiritual atmosphere and daily routine. After the mashwara, the morning muzakara began, including a brief talk by Maulana Saad. Following this, he shook hands, then musafaha with the departing Tablighi Jamaats. When it was our turn, my heart was overwhelmed with emotion. Standing before Sheikh Saad, I couldn't summon the courage to ask forgiveness. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I couldn't muster the strength to speak. Later, we observed the regular activity a'mal of the Markaz during the Zuhur prayer and Asr prayer. We asked about the use of a microphone or the absence of a microphone during Salah. A Mufti explained that in accordance to the fatwa of Darul Ulum Dewan, microphones are not used during prayers, and Maulana Saad Sahib strictly adheres to this ruling. Hearing this deepened my admiration for him as someone who not only respects Darul Ulum Dewans but also exemplifies obedience to their fatwas. This day at the Markaz brought us immense clarity and a realization that we had been unfair in our judgment and actions. It was a turning point, urging us to rectify our past mistakes and embrace the true mission of da'wah. As I write this letter, my heart feels heavy. My tongue prays for Allah to guide us all and unite the Ummah. What we witnessed at the Markaz Nizamuddin was the exact opposite of the false image painted in our minds. Maulana Saad's life, his mission, his character and his dedication are beyond any doubt. He prays selflessly for the Ummah, follows the commandments of the Shariah and takes practical steps to spread the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala across the world. The sincerity, structure and religious dedication we observed at Nizamuddin Markaz are indescribable. Senior scholars from institutions like Darul Ulum Dewan, Mazahir Ulum, Nadwatul Ulama are affiliated with the Markaz. Their presence is a testament to the fact that the work at Nizamuddin under Maulana Saad Sahib leadership is conducted with this utmost adherence to Sharia. Maulana Saad Sahib is not only the spiritual guide of the Markaz but also a shining example of practical leadership. Whether in its address or his bayanats, leading Tarawih prayers or crying in the dua during i'tikaf for the Ummah, every action reflects his concern for the welfare of the Ummah, not for personal gain. His approach demonstrates that he is steadfast in the original mission of Tabligh, the vision of Maulana Ilyas rahmatullah alayh. We conveyed to the scholars, the ulamas in Bangladesh to visit Nizamuddin Markaz themselves and see the truth firsthand. Many scholars, ulama did so and all confirmed that the work at Nizamuddin Markaz under Maulana Saad Sahib leadership is entirely in line with Islamic teachings. After realizing this, several scholars, ulama changed their stance and reconnected with the branch of the Tabligh Jamaat. We were a group of 100 scholars, ulamas, although only 40 publicly associated their names with this movement, with this letter. Many of the remaining 60 were hesitant, fearing backlash or retaliation. We formed a special group dedicated solely to praying for the resolution of these conflicts and for the revival of respect for Nizamuddin Markaz and the family of Maulana Ilyas rahmatullah alayhi in the hearts of the scholars. One pivotal moment came when Hadhratji Maulana Sayyid Arshad Madini Damat Barakatum, the Amir of India, addressed the scholars in Bangladesh, including us, stating, our differences with the Maulana Saad Sahib has been resolved. He has repented and the matter is over. He added, these people at Markaz Nizamuddin are all worshippers who rise up for tahajjud prayer. Following this, Shaykh al-Islam Mufti Taqi Usmani Sahib Damat Barakatum issued a statement saying, both groups, Nizamuddin and Alim Shura, are like Hanafi Maliki schools of thought. Just be mindful to avoid mistrust and slander. When we heard these both statements, we wept bitterly, reflected on how our past had been filled with nothing but mistrust and slander. This is the mark of true servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaykh al-Islam Mufti Taqi Usmani Sahib Damat Barakatum understood the extent of our negative assumptions and words. A plea for forgiveness and unity. Oh Allah, forgive us. We all now accept Maulana Saad Sahib as our leader and Amir and acknowledge him as the global leader of the Tabligh movement before the entire world. We seek forgiveness of Maulana Saad Sahib. Hazrat, please forgive us. From this day forward, we will also honor you with the revered title Hadhratji. We write this letter with the intention of preventing further division of the Ummah. Internal conflicts and disputes are harming the mission of Dawah while benefiting the enemies of Islam. We appeal to the Alim Shura to resolve their differences and return to Nizamuddin Markaz. This is a time for unity, not division. Ulama and scholars are kindly requested not to believe anyone's words without proper investigation. Visit Markaz Nizamuddin yourself, meet its senior leaders, observe their work and understand the reality. Work to eliminate differences and unite the Muslim Ummah once again. May Allah guide us and accept the efforts of Tabligh and Dawah. Ameen. When we conducted research and discovered more facts, we found out that Maulana Saad Sahib teaches Bukhari Sharif at Kashif al-Ulum Madrasa. This was surprising to us as we were unaware of this before. A person who teaches Bukhari Sharif spends day and night proclaiming Allah's oneness, Tawheed, leads Tarawih prayers and delivers bayans from books and like Sahatu Sahaba immediately after. Solely be working sincerely for the betterment of the Ummah. He wakes up at night crying before the Ummah, before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the wealth of the Ummah, invites millions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and has been doing so for many years. Spreading false information about such a person and fostering hatred against him felt deeply wrong to us. We urge you to approach these matters with religious insight and wisdom. If there are many misunderstandings, resolve them and strive to unite the Ummah. We pray that Allah guides us all, grants us recognition of the truth and enables us to carry out religious da'wah and work of da'wah in a way pleasing to Him. As you can see now, this letter has been signed from the 40 ulamas named in the screen now. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this effort. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite the ummah as well. As always, brothers, remember this podcast is just a supplement to the enormous work of dawah and should not be used as a substitute, as dawah is amongst the people and not on the screen. Please like and subscribe and share with others. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah.